This week on the Digital Coffee, unmention yourself on Twitter. Audio rooms are finally coming to Facebook, and Facebook has launched a new tool that will auto-size your videos without losing the good bits. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news for small business. My name is Amanda Webb. I am grabbing my coffee cup, wishing that there was coffee inside it, but there will be as soon as this show finishes. There will indeed. So if you are, I can see we've got some viewers on YouTube. Before I start telling you what you should do, good morning to Louise. Thanks for joining me. You were there way before I went live. And Barbara B. Coached is here. She's fantastic. So if there is anyone watching on Facebook, if you leave a comment on Facebook, I will send you a copy of the Digital Coffee newspaper by chatbot. So you will get that shortly. Ginny will get that, who's just said hello. If you're on YouTube, I've got a link at the top of the chat here. It's also in the description of the post where you can sign up to make sure you get that newspaper every week. So good morning to Ginny before we start. Good morning. She's had her tea and on the porridge as the weather has turned. It's actually really sunny here today, so, poor Ginny. And Deirdre saying good morning and lovely morning to Wexford. Yes, it is beautiful in Kildare as well, so let's just hope it lasts the weekend, eh? And my email reminder works. That's good to know. Good to know. You all came from email. So just one other thing before I get on to the news. If you use Twitter, at 10:30 a.m. on Twitter Spaces. So if you follow me on Twitter, I've actually got it pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. We do a Twitter space with Mei King Zhang and Dan Holloway about these news stories that I'm talking about. So if you fancy joining and having a chat with us about the news, they may have very different opinions to me on some of these. And actually, that's one of the reasons I asked them to join me. So hopefully, there's Mei King now on YouTube, who's looking forward to it. So hopefully you can join us for that. Good morning, Mei King. I tell you, YouTube's where the action is these days. Let's get on the news with the news, will we?
Hi, I'm Catherine Mason and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Twitter notifications can become a cluttered mess, can't they? Especially if you have that over-enthusiastic business friend or just a friend who wants to tag you in every single tweet. Or worse, if there's an argument somewhere and somebody's decided they want to rope you into this argument, so they tagged you in a tweet, and suddenly your notifications feed fills up with all these notifications and mentions, and you have to spend ages sifting through it. You might miss important ones that you actually wanted to be involved in. Well, not anymore, because Twitter is launching a tool they're calling Unmention. And what Unmention will do is when you get tagged in a tweet, you will have the option to unmention yourself, which will turn the tag into just plain text. It won't be clickable anymore. You won't get notifications about it anymore. Interestingly, though, that's what happens if it's somebody that you follow. If it's somebody that you don't follow that tags you, when you unmention yourself, that person won't be able to tag you ever again. And you can even restrict. You can make it so people cannot mention you in tweets. And I love this one. So what if you're in the middle of a Twitter storm? You know how addictive it is to keep going back and looking at your app mentions. You try not to, but you do. You'll actually be able to unmention yourself in every tweet so nobody will be able to tag you for 1 day, 3 days, or 7 days. I think this is fantastic. I'm really excited about this innovation. There is, of course, a downside because your name will remain. So people who see the tweet will see that you've untagged yourself, and that could make it a little bit awkward with people. It's kind of a passive aggressive way of telling somebody not to tag you in their tweets anymore. But I think the pros totally outweigh the cons. I'm so excited to see so many of you on YouTube. We're talking about the weather. We're talking about the weather. Louise says it's cold and grey. She's in Northern Ireland. So hopefully that's not coming our way. May that stay in Northern Ireland. Good morning, Evelyn, who is in Limerick. Hello, great to see you here. I've never seen you on YouTube before. You usually pop in on Facebook. And I'm a Twitter guest expert on Monday, but years since I did this. Yeah, that's always hard. You can't keep up with your notifications when you're a Twitter guest. You can do your best. I have I think 5 tabs open when I'm a guest on a Twitter chat, and then you still have to go back because you'll have missed so many. I'm never that popular on Twitter, but I can see it would be valuable who those gets tagged unnecessarily. Just now and then somebody will pop up and think that, oh, well, I'll tag Amanda in everything. I'm not that famous, so it doesn't happen that often. And it just annoys me because they're forcing me to look at their content. And, then you start feeling resentful about it. So I'm not a big fan of the whole tagging for no particular reason. Of course, if it's something I'm interested in, absolutely tag me. I feel like I'm a real evil person now, so I'm just going to move on to the next story.
Hi, I'm Lee from Wellshot, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Cheers.
Now, you know that up until now, Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces have been the home of audio. Don't forget my Twitter Space on a Friday at 10:30 a.m. where we discuss the news. That was just a quick plug. But now Facebook is getting in on the game. This week, Mark Zuckerberg hosted the first ever test of a Facebook audio room. And as you can see, that image there, the black slice on the right hand side is what a Facebook audio room will look like. It's kind of a cross between Twitter and Clubhouse. It's not very different. I mean, they're not reinventing anything here. This is what's there. They just want in on the action. But what I do find interesting is that it's attached to an event. So when this is launched right off the bat, you will be able to schedule your Facebook live audio rooms. It takes a long time to remember what it's called. And not only that, which means you'll be able to build up a lot of attention around it before the actual event. But not only that, if it's allowing paid Facebook events, you'll be able to charge a ticket price, which is something that is coming to Twitter really soon. But if it's embedded in the original events, those tools are already there. They don't need to invent anything new. Now, this is going to be good for some people. If your audience is on Twitter already, maybe Twitter is the place where you want to have it, or if they're on Clubhouse. But the thing is, for a lot of people, they don't use Twitter. They don't want to go and use yet another social network and sign up to Clubhouse. And that's where this can work. And for the paid events, I'm imagining things like music. If we have a musician on playing their music, you might be able to charge from that. A poetry reading, a play, a really good interview, maybe with a celebrity. That's the times when you want to play. I do think this will take off as quickly as it has on Twitter, as quickly as it has on Clubhouse, just with a different group of users. And of course, for businesses, I think it's almost like live. I love talking to you guys here live on YouTube, but it means that people are going to be able to hear your voice and get to know you. But also, the thing we don't do on live is that I will be able to hear your voices and get to know your voices too. And it just builds a deeper relationship with people. So I'm kind of excited about that. Just having a look now. Barbara says that untag is a great addition to Twitter, especially for rouse brewing. Yeah, you don't want to be involved in those arguments. You really, really don't. I want to do a digital coffee. You'll have to explain yourself more. Come into the Twitter room later. Good morning to Sylvia, who has a coffee. Great to see you here, Sylvia. How are you doing? Long time no see. And Making, I'm assuming it's Making, from the FOMO creator. Facebook Live audio rooms, associating these with events, paving the way for ticketed events is definitely a great way to generate FOMO. You are so right. I think it can work really well as part of, if your audience are on Facebook already. These tools are going to come everywhere eventually. So it's going to be a case of where are you going to have your audio chats? The people who do the digital coffee with Amanda, well, Louise, talk to me, DM me, we will sort that out. Talking of that, somebody who's on the call right now.
This is Making from the FOMO creator, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
What is the best aspect ratio for Facebook videos? It's horizontal, 16:9. It's slightly vertical, 5:4. It's square. It's full vertical, 9:16. In fact, all of these are the right aspect ratios for videos on Facebook and Instagram, depending where you're going to put it. Are you going to put it in the feed? Is it a story? Are people watching on desktop? So all of these formats work, which means it is a nightmare if you want to optimize your video for all those positions across Facebook and Instagram. You have to go and re-edit a new version. And I do that with this digital coffee every week. I have to do a square version of my trailer and a vertical version of it. But Facebook has just launched a tool that is going to make this much easier. It is there now in Creator Studio. When you upload a video, it gives you the option to auto size it. Now you'd think this would be a problem, because what if you move around in the screen? How is it going to keep up with you? But it's using, well, it says it's using machine learning. And that machine learning will identify some specific things in the video and make sure it doesn't crop it out. So a human face, other parts of a human, so hands, feet, whatever needs to go into the video, it's going to identify those and make sure they're in. Prominent text, so if you've got text on your video, it'll make sure it sees that. And areas of high contrast. I did try this out this week. I tried it out, but it was with a clip that would be very easy for them to auto resize. It was basically a clip of this digital coffee. But it did the job. It took let's say about an hour, and then it came back and it offers me it in these new formats, which, you know, I think is not only exciting, but it is a massive time saver. Particularly, you know, if you want to run ads across platform, it's going to give you those options. Just seeing a couple of the... Barbara also wants to, well, Barbara, Louise, direct message me. We'll sort you out with doing a clip for the digital coffee, because, you know, because I'm not getting out and about, I'm not recording them as often as I did. So I'd love you to send yours in. Just drop me a direct message on my personal account. I think you're both connected to that. Right, what's next?
I'm Ian Undersegray, and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Another AI innovation from Facebook. We've talked about the video auto sizing, but they're actually doing something really cool with images that have text on them. So what if I took a photograph of this behind me with all the letters and the writing and the numbers on it? Facebook is now going to be able to replicate and replace the text in the image. So it can take one word that you've written down, and it will be able to create a whole text style from that one word and replace it in the image so it looks seamless. For example, in this example that they gave us, you know, it's a fruit and veg store. All the fruit and veg is labelled up, I think, in English first. It's gone in, it's identified the text that they've used, and it's replaced all the text elements, but it's translated it into another language. So that's a very smart use of that. It's a very simple way to do it, all happening within Facebook. If you've got a notice board behind you, I remember when I got my, let me just get rid of that. I remember when I got my last set of headshots done, there was something behind me that said Red Bull, and I had to get the Laura, the photographer, to digitally remove that because I didn't want you looking at my headshot and seeing Red Bull and thinking I was, I don't know. I didn't want to associate. It wasn't Red Bull, it was Jägermeister. I didn't want necessarily to be associated with that. So what Facebook could have done is taken that text and changed it into something else that would have been more relevant to my business. The other use for this is personalisation, and personalisation is huge in digital marketing at the moment. People really love feeling that there is this one-to-one connection with the business that they're dealing with. We've always loved that, handwritten cards, thank you cards, that sort of thing. But for a small business, particularly if you've got a lot of customers, this can be a really big job. You could be all day handwriting notes to people or personalising messages to people. This will actually be able to take a lot of text and you'll be able to change out the name, for example. You'll be able to change out Amanda for Barbara, for example. So it'll be really easy to create a personalised image for every single member of your audience. I do find this exciting. I love innovations like this because, yes, Facebook are doing it, but also that means it's going to spread across the board and other people will use these tools to make it easier for us to do our marketing better. There is a downside, which is all to do with deep fakes, but I think that conversation is for another day. Major time saver, Barbara says, I'm imagining this is about the video, which yes, absolutely. Less time creating different versions of your videos. You'll be able to do it all within Facebook. And of course, once you posted a video to Facebook, you can download it so you could actually use it anywhere too.
You're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Up until recently, LinkedIn company pages were just completely useless. And I know we've got Louise from LinkedIn, from live link. No, I can't say the name of your podcast, Louise, but Louise is a LinkedIn expert. And company pages are becoming more and more important. And the reason I think that LinkedIn has been putting a focus on this recently and adding new tools that marketers will love, like better analytics, is that the more people that use pages, the more people are set up to do advertising. And let's face it, that's one of their revenue streams. What they've done this week is they've published an article that tells you how they believe you should grow your LinkedIn company page. So none of this is groundbreaking. None of this we all have a light bulb moment, but let's just go through it because I think it's important to hear it from the horse's mouth. So firstly, make sure that your LinkedIn company page is fully completed. And that goes actually for any social network. Make sure you've filled in every single section so that it comes up in search better, for example. Secondly, add follow buttons that you can actually get from LinkedIn to your website, to any blog posts. Number 3, love this one, publish thought leadership, as if that's something you can just do. Now, what is thought leadership? I always hear that term and just wonder, who's a thought leader? And according to LinkedIn, this is your commentary or your take on industry news and trends. That's what this show is. That's what this show is. So I must be doing something right because I share segments from this show on my LinkedIn company page. Choose 3 hashtags that represent what your business is about. And that again will help you come up in search results. But you can also follow hashtags and click into hashtag threads. So you'll be able to see posts from other people and other pages relating to the hashtags that you follow, and you can go in and comment on those. So that's something they suggest you do. I would just be cautious about that because particularly if you're commenting on somebody's post, it can seem a little bit odd when a business comments back. So I would be careful about how you approach that. Use analytics. We're all marketers here, right? We know. It's important to use analytics and activate your employees. And I know there is this kind of section within company pages who have employees that is kind of like an employee networking space. So things it's suggesting is, one, utilizing that tool, two, celebrating your employees as part of your company page content, and of course encouraging them to share content from your company page. Like I said, there's nothing really new there, but I love to hear this from LinkedIn as well. It makes you feel, well, I am on the right track when I'm telling people how to use content in general, not just on LinkedIn. Right, no, that's just Barbara talking about the video post again. So let's have a look. Who will I press next this week? This could be you next week, Louise. This could be you next week, Barbara.
Hey, it's Andy at Content Cal here, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Twitter is adding yet another button option to profiles. We've seen recently tip jar, we're going to have this super follow button. You know, there's all these new things happening. I hope they're going to let us choose which buttons we want. And the new button is a subscribe button. And a subscribe button with a call to action to subscribe to your Twitter newsletter. Now, let me tell you what it does first before I start giving you my opinion. When you click that button, it gives you two options: to sign up or to read a sample newsletter. So this could be a really good way for you to grow your newsletter subscribers within Twitter. The big question I think here is, should you be using Twitter for your email marketing? Should you be using it alongside your email marketing and keep your regular email marketing? Or should you not use it at all? Now, at the moment, I'm not using it at all because I spend enough time on my regular email marketing and I don't see it as a replacement. But I do see Twitter newsletters as a gateway tool to getting more people using email marketing. I've been running my Maximum Impact Marketing Challenge this week, and day 4 is always quiet because day 4 is when we analyze email marketing. And there's so few businesses either not doing it at all or they built a list and they never email people. So I think by signing up for a newsletter tool like what you can get in Twitter is a really good way to get started, because it's going to be easier to attract subscribers. It's going to be easier to do everything in one place. So I'm not against it 100%, but at some stage you're going to want to move off onto your own platform where you can own your subscribers. We've got one more story to go. Don't forget my Twitter spaces with Mei King Zhang, who's watching now as the FOMO creator, and Dan Holloway, who is a business coach. And we will discuss and come in and you can throw in your own ideas and suggestions too. That is at 10:30 a.m. You will find a link to it pinned to the top of my Twitter profile. What is our final story?
Hi, I'm Carmel Siri and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
I like reactions. I like reactions on Facebook and LinkedIn because sometimes, you know, a heart or a thumbs up doesn't say what I want to say, but I don't have a comment that I specifically want to leave, and I don't have time to go and search for an emoji that would, not an emoji, a GIF that would express how I feel. So I like it. I like that I've got the option to give people that care emotion if they're feeling a little bit down. Probably I should be leaving a comment there as well, but I like having the option. And from a business point of view, having more reactions means more of your audience is going to react to your posts as well. So you boost up your engagement a little bit. Of course, comments are better, but I think we don't need to judge people who don't leave comments. It's just lovely to know that people are watching. People actually, believe it or not, watch this show without commenting sometimes. I love that. I love when they comment, but a reaction, if you don't want to, is absolutely fine. And the reason I'm talking about this is that this week, Twitter has taken one step, it's moved one step closer to launching reactions. And I love this. Initially, when they said decided they were going to do reactions, they actually asked the Twitter audience, what reactions would you like? And they have, it seems, settled on like, cheer, and haha, sad, and haha. These are going to be the reactions. They haven't finished off creating the emoji icons yet. So in the screenshot that Jane Manchon Wong discovered, it shows that a lot of them are still hearts, but that's all going to change. And this is roughly what it's going to look like when people have reacted to your post on Twitter. What I like about this is it actually shows you the count for each reaction. So on Facebook, it will show you all the reactions people have put in, but it won't tell you how many times. I kind of like the fact that they're doing this. Either way, I think this is a great move from Twitter. I am seeing some negativity around it. I'm not quite sure why. Is it because they think people will stop commenting? I actually think the other way. I think you're going to get more engagement than you've had before. We can't just rely on replies on Twitter. And Ginny agrees. She thinks it's going to be good. She thinks reactions will be great on Twitter. Making, yes, yay for Twitter innovation. Loving the new reactions. Absolutely, I knew you'd love it. Barbara's with Making, Twitter coming up on leaps and bounds. You know what? It's really weird because over the last, I'd say 2 months, every week there have just been so many Twitter stories. So I think you're right. The innovation is coming and strong and fast. And hopefully that will translate into more users because it is my favorite place to be online. That is it for the news this week. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget 10:30 a.m. My handle is @spiderworking. You will find the space pinned to the top there, so you can just join myself, Making and Dan, where we will be discussing these topics, and I'd love to hear your views on them as well. I'll be back, same bat time, same bat place next week. Until then, bye-bye.